Good afternoon, and welcome to the Cuyahoga County Finance and Budgeting Committee. Monday, April 28th, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
And just as a reminder to all who are in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Ms. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Castleberry.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Jones is absent. Mr. Hauser is absent. Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Schlepper.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Thank you. I have a motion to excuse our colleagues.
So moved.
There's second, moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, is there any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one is signed in.
Okay, may I have, I'll move to approve the minutes from the March 31st, 2025 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right, thank you.
There are no matters referred to committee.
Okay, so we will now have a presentation from our distinguished Cuyahoga County Treasurer, Brad Cromis. Good afternoon, sir.
You get sure my microphone's on. There we go. Good morning. Good to see you all this morning. So it is my pleasure to come before you today to share a quarterly update on our progress to this juncture on our Taxpayer Assistance Program pilot. We've got a presentation we're going to share with you on that, and I'm going to be joined in this effort by the administrator of our program from our partner, CHN Housing Partners, Nina Holzer, who will come up in just a moment to start walking through the day-to-day administrative aspects of where things stand presently with the program. So, having said that, I think we're good. I clicked past my title slide already, but just as a refresher about what this program is, this is a response to a number of economic factors, the most concerning of which are how we help people who are seniors who have limited income, who are being hurt by increases in property valuation, increases in taxes, and don't really have the means to adjust or may have fallen behind. So this is to address folks who are over age 70, who make $70,000 or less a year, and who are already certified tax delinquent, which means that they're actionable for a collection effort. So what this program does on a pilot basis is makes up to $10,000 available in one-time tax assistance to those taxpayers to help them get current. That can pay current taxes, delinquent taxes, and any fees that may be related to pending foreclosure actions or things of that variety. So that's the financial aspect that comes out of our delinquent tax assessment collection fund. The other side of the coin is that in addition to that direct assistance, they are then provided housing counseling from our partner, CHN Housing Partners, who actually administers the process. So when someone makes an application for this assistance, they are filtered in through CHN Housing Partners. There's a series of questions that they answer in the process of filling out an application to determine whether they are eligible or not. They then meet with a counselor and then kind of start that process going. So that's what differentiates this from a prior program that existed. We did have a program that was pandemic era that made up to $10,000 available in tax assistance. That funding came from the federal government through the state, and that was just dollars in. So we think that this program, and we think our results will show down the line that this program's inclusion of housing counseling services will improve our recidivism rate, keep people out of falling back into tax delinquency. So having said that, at this point, as I'd mentioned, really the day-to-day aspects of the program are being managed by CHN Housing Partners, and I'd like to invite Nina forward to share with you what their process looks like and where things stand as of today.
Thank you. Just please state your name for the record.
Nina Holzer, CHN Housing Partners. Thank you. All right. So in terms of the program structure, so we have, we process our applications on a first come, first served basis. Our application is available online, but we recognize with the population that we're serving, not everyone has access to a computer. So we have a phone line that individuals can call if they say, hey, I don't have access to a computer, I really need help filling out the application. We have a program administrator who can intake those applications over the phone, and we've helped quite a few people that way. At intake, folks are providing us with parcel information, contact information, demographic information, proof of residency, proof of income. In addition, we research the parcels, so we're checking County My Place to verify what the delinquency is right now, to verify how long they've owned the property, because there is they have to have owned the property for at least 3 years in order to qualify. So after receiving the application, we are doing our due diligence, a little more research to verify whether or not they're eligible right out the gate. From there, if they are eligible, they're being assigned to a HUD certified housing counselor for housing counseling. So again, unlike our previous taxpayer assistance program, counseling is required. The goal is that we are getting to understand their household situation, understand their finances, and really determine whether or not they have the ability to maintain this payment moving forward. So our cases, unlike the prior program where there was a high volume, high velocity, we're sitting down with folks, really getting to know their financial situation and working with them on that budget and spending plan to make sure that they can pay moving forward. And if they don't demonstrate the ability to pay, we are having that conversation around, is there another option here? And working with them on exploring what those options might be. If they are eligible, we are submitting a funding request. Once they are approved, we're sending them an email with the amount they've been approved for. We're delivering those checks to the county. Before the check is applied to their account, they do need to sign up for Easy Pay. If there is a remaining balance, they have to go execute a payment plan. And they're also signing a mortgage note saying that, again, they're going to retain the property for 3 years after receiving that financial assistance. Once all 3 of those pieces are complete, their check is applied then to their account. Our counselors are checking in with them at the 30, 60, 90-day mark after they receive the assistance to make sure that they're sticking to their budget, sticking to their payment plan, making sure they're making those Easy Pay payments moving forward. And then if they were to say, hey, I am falling behind, things have changed, again, the counseling is still open to them after they receive the financial assistance. And then just landing page on the county website where folks can learn more about the program and access our application. This is a snapshot of our online application. In terms of budget, this is a 2-year pilot program that began in December 2024. So $5 million, $2 million a year for direct assistance, and then $500,000 a year allocated for counseling and admin. And then I believe, it breaks it down in a table on the slide. This is a snapshot of the county dashboard that just shows the spread of delinquent parcels across the county. Not all 4,000 of these parcels would potentially be eligible for the program, but again, some analysis the county has done on the spread of delinquency across the county. And now I'll get into the meat of our applications and where we are with processing. So to date, we've received 268 applications. In this table, you'll see I've broken it down by county council district. In our contract, we've committed to a certain dollar amount per county council district. So we are tracking how many applications are coming in and the dollars being spent by district. So you'll see 268 applications received. Of those 268, 183 are active in our queue. So that means they're somewhere between under review to counseling has been completed and we're following up with the clients. And then 85 have been withdrawn or flagged as ineligible.
Can you talk a little bit more about that category?
Yes, I have a slide in a couple of slides on that. These are our approvals to date. This is a snapshot, so these were approvals as of this Friday. We've made a couple of more approvals and have received more applications since then, so I also want to note that this is very much a snapshot in time. But to date, we've approved 13 applications, and those applications total just over $88,000. So those checks will be cut this week and delivered to the county. In terms of those that are ineligible or withdrawn, so I've broken it down into those categories. So we've had a few that are duplicates, a handful of clients who hit that button more than once. So four were duplicate, 7 were missing documentation. So we made multiple outreach attempts to the household after receiving the application. We usually give them 2 to 3 weeks to get us missing documentation. And so these are 7 households who, after those 3 weeks of outreach attempts, we just never heard back from. If they do reach out to us, we do have the ability to reopen their file, but for the sake of keeping things moving, these files were withdrawn. There were 2 where the clients declined to move forward. 9 clients received prior assistance through our Homeowner Assistance Fund funded taxpayer assistance program, which per contract would make them ineligible for this assistance. 14 applicants did not meet our minimum age requirement, so one of the owners have to be 70 years or older. Unfortunately, we did not have an owner who was 70 in the household for those 14. 6 have not owned the property for at least 3 years. 1 household was over income. So we do not consider SSI or SSDI in our income calculation for this program. So this was purely someone had some form of earned income and was over $70,000. 6 properties were not owner occupied. And then 36 did not have a certified tax delinquent balance. And I'll pause to see if you guys have any questions about that.
Councilman Keller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just back to the council district, the way they're all listed. In my district, it shows there are 5 active and none were approved. Is there a way to find out why those in my district were not approved?
So of those 5 files, they could still be in process. So we're waiting to get them scheduled for counseling. Maybe they've started counseling, but we're just not at the point yet where we have flagged that they have completed counseling. They have the ability to pay moving forward. So they're somewhere between the file has come in and counseling has started. And so we're still working with those 5 if it's active.
Is there a way to find out
Where in
somewhere down the
process they
road
are?
here where we are?
Yeah, absolutely. I could submit that.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Councilman Schlepper.
Through the chair, can you just describe what a certified delinquency looks like? Just what are the parameters surrounding certification there?
Sure, and I
Thank
might
you.
need the treasurer to come up and provide some additional color to my answer. My understanding is that, I'll let you do it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll clean it up. You can-
Sure, so those tax balances have to have been delinquent for more than a year and have to have been advertised, if I remember correctly. So if someone were delinquent on this current tax bill, they've fallen behind, they would not be considered certified yet.
Right, and just a little bit more color on that. So in addition to the things Nina very well capably described, we try to distinguish between taxes that are late and then certified delinquent when we talk about these things in the office, because the ORC is not clear about that distinction, but the certification of the delinquency by the auditor side is what creates the capacity for us to then do enforcement work. So that's at the point you become certified, that's where you're eligible for a foreclosure action or some other adverse action. Right.
Okay, please continue.
All right, and I believe I was a couple of slides ahead. So this map just shows of the applications received, who is currently receiving homestead. So it's that spread of homestead recipients who've submitted an application by district, correct?
Right.
I'm glad that he's up here with me now to look at these maps with me. Oh, and I'm realizing I don't know what the difference,
Yeah, that's okay.
applications received.
Do you want me to take this part?
Sure.
Be happy to do it. Yeah, so this next slide just demonstrates where the applications are, kind of in a heat map sort of way. You see more of a concentration in the urban core at this point on the applications that we've received. And then this next slide is a little bit out of date, so I want you to take this with a grain of salt. This was as of 4/22. As Nina pointed out, we've had more come in since this time, so we do have, this is the distribution of funds that have been in the field at this point. We have had some that are approved in other areas that aren't reflected here. Districts 9 and 10 and 4 have all had some distribution at this point. just to kind of clarify that. So districts 1 and 6 are the only two that we have not yet made a distribution in. And that is to say, again, just to reiterate, those are still in process. We do have applicants in both of those districts. We fully anticipate there will be distributions in the near future in that area, so. And then in terms of next steps in the program, we are going to be doing an additional quarterly update, I believe, to council through this committee. That's the methodology we've chosen in July, so you'll look to see us then. I do just want to point out that we will be seeing a lot of our process come through on the pool that we've got now. We've done a considerable amount of outreach to get to this point. We did a letter to this pool of eligible folks from our office, as well as one under the signature of the county executive. And we've started to do outreach in individual events in partnership with CHN and in some of our other outreach venues. So that is ongoing. I want to flag the third quarter update for you all as one that will be an inflection point. That will be after the point at which we are certifying tax delinquencies. And so at that point, the pool of eligible applicants we think will grow. So we anticipate there being an increase in program utilization for the third quarter. So just to kind of flag something prospectively that may be coming down the line. The other thing we're going to be continuing to do as we move forward is monitoring the rejections and our parameters, who our applicants are, why they're being rejected, those sorts of things. It may be that, and again, this is a pilot program, we determine after the first year that age 70 and $70,000 is our main criteria, needs some adjusting. So we may come to you at the end of the year and ask for some adjustments on the approvals and kind of those parameters that we set for applicants who are eligible and available. So something I want to flag, we're monitoring that closely. And then we continue to work on conversations with our banking partners to seek additional funding sources for this program, were it to continue past its pilot period. So the initial 2-year period is DTAC funded exclusively. We see this as being a good opportunity, though, if it is effective, and we think it will be, for our banking partners to do more to reinvest in the community and to use this as a tool for getting funds into historically underserved parts of Cuyahoga County. So that's something that we're continuing to keep an eye on as well. So with that, I think that concludes our planned presentation. If there are additional questions, we're happy to answer those, but we appreciate the opportunity to come and share where we are and what we're continuing to work on.
Questions? Councilman Gallagher?
As this moves forward and recognizing it's a pilot program, what are we hearing out of Columbus?
Through the chair to the councilman, can you expand a little more on your question? You mean with respect to state budget, property tax issues?
Property tax legislation that I keep reading about but not seeing anything.
Yeah, I think so. When we initially launched this program, part of our thought process was this was a way for Cuyahoga County to respond to these concerns, knowing that longer-term structural fixes would have to come through the state legislature. There continue to be discussions on a number of proposals. I have not yet heard of any that are getting more or less traction. I will say that it does seem that leadership has assigned some legislative point persons to kind of vet these discussions. There's a state representative from Ashtabula County who's a former county auditor on the House side who is doing some of that. So there's progress that's happening. I think it is unlikely that any of those things will be included in the state budget. They are probably going to be proposals that are dealt with on a case-by-case basis once that budget process concludes in June. So that's kind of where our current read of the situation is. But, you know, again, this program is our way to address what we can locally while we wait for Columbus to do something bigger.
Right. I didn't anticipate it would be part of the budget, but would be probably standalone. And it would, I think, be helpful to remove any opacity between the county and the state. If you get my drift, that we're all on the same page here, and they understand that we're trying to do their job for them.
I think we have been at pains to communicate that through the chair to the councilman through the course of the past 6 months or so. We continue to have those conversations. And I will just anecdotally share with the committee, I've started to have conversations with other counties in the state about replicating this model. You know, largely that's going to be urban counties that have enough of a DTAC fund to be able to do something substantive, but we are beginning to have those conversations too.
Any other questions? Okay, I just want to simply say that we all know that property taxes are a critical funding source, for our schools and other services in our community. But they can also create challenges for homeowners living in areas where, thanks to the recent property valuations, where property values, suddenly increase. And to the councilman's statements, we need some relief from Columbus, hopefully soon. And we know that when they're too costly, homeowners, particularly those with modest incomes, like ourselves, and others, and particularly those on fixed incomes, and as they're aging, they may face foreclosure or, involuntary displacement because of their inability to pay, or, some folks don't even have a mortgage anymore, but they still have, these property taxes. So programs like this are critical. I hope that they can be replicated throughout the whole state. Thank you for all that you are doing to work with people and to help them navigate this process. And of course, as they're aging, they may have some challenges, maybe getting some of those documents, et cetera. But excellent work. Thank you for the presentation. We look forward to updates in July.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Okay, is there any miscellaneous business?